So 200 years ago, people didn't wash their bodies every day and they walked around smelling stinky everywhere. And 100 years ago, people didn't brush their teeth every day and their breath smelled awful. Well, my projection is that 100 years from today, people will look back on us now and say, I can't believe people in the 2020s didn't meditate every day and they walked around with dirty thoughts that weren't clean and were really distracted and unfocused every day. If you want to be in a great mood, you've got to get control over your mind. It's the number one thing. And we find control over our mind with meditation. If you're ready to hear how to do this in just 1 minute a day, hang tight and let's rock.
Here's your host, Matt O'Neill.
If you listen to a lot of Good Mood Revolution podcasts and other podcasts about how to feel good, you'll hear a very consistent message. One of the keys to happiness is consistent meditation. Well, my journey with meditation has been like up and down, like a yo-yo, where I tried to meditate and I bought a book about how to meditate and I fell asleep every time I listened to it. And then I found a wonderful man named Muni Natarajan, who did an episode on the Good Mood Revolution in the first season. And I meditated with Muni every week, and he guided me through breathing techniques. And it was really powerful having a true expert in meditation with me. But then when Muni wasn't around, I couldn't reach the same levels of clarity on my own. And Muni ended up moving away. And I felt kind of lost in my meditation journey at that point. And then I saw a video from Hal Elrod, and Hal said something very interesting. He said, 200 years ago, people didn't shower their bodies and they didn't clean their bodies every day. And everybody kind of smelled a little bit bad. And then about 100 years ago, people didn't brush their teeth every day and everybody's mouth kind of smelled a little bit bad. And he said, I think 100 years from now, people will look back on this time and say, I can't believe people didn't clean their minds every day, and that they had all those dirty thoughts running around, preventing them from being happy. And at that moment, I realized meditation had to be a staple and a consistent part of my life. And so I got really excited about having today's guest on the Good Mood Revolution podcast. It's Ann Swanson. She is a best-selling author, a yoga therapist, and a meditation teacher. Ann, welcome to the Good Mood Revolution.
So glad to be here. And to your point, less than 100 years ago, if you were out going for a jog, people would have thought you were crazy. People didn't exercise as a separate, event, as a regular thing for regular people. That is just completely new for us to be keeping up that in that way. We just had movement in our everyday life before then. So I think that, things have changed, and you're right that meditation will be that thing in 100 years from now. They look back and they're like, wow, y'all were really behind the times. We've known this for thousands of years, actually.
Yes, you bring up a really interesting point. And I was talking to a friend of mine last week, and he said he went on an 8-day retreat where no cell phones were present. And I'm like, oh, how did you manage? And he said, it was the most freeing time. And then he said to me, you remember when we were kids and no one had cell phones? He said, we were free. Mm-hmm. We were riding our bikes. We were hanging out with other people. We were gathering with neighbors. We were gathering as a community, and we were actually present. And I think that you bring up a really good point that, hey, we didn't need to exercise 100 years ago because we were chopping wood. We were in the dirt. We were using our bodies every day. Well, maybe meditation also is part of chopping wood. Maybe meditation is also part of gardening, and we've lost touch with that type of mindfulness because we're so now addicted to phones and social media. And we need to now have a practice where we jog to move our body and we meditate to calm our mind.
Yeah, listen, what the research is showing and what meditation masters have been telling us for ages is to get back in touch with nature. As you mentioned, gardening, a walk in the woods. In Japan, they do something called forest bathing, which is like walking in the woods in a really mindful way. And they've found that it increases specific parts of your immune system, natural killer cells, for example, that help you fight off tumors and invaders just from walking in the woods. They think the aerosols, the smells have that effect. And so if we can do these walking meditations in nature, if we can integrate the science of what we know now, which happens to correlate with what the ancient masters told us, I think that we'll really be able to be happier and be back to where we're supposed to be.
So one of the reasons I was so excited to have a conversation with you, Ann, is that your book and the way that you teach is so practical for modern life. And, it's a great thing to say, oh, just walk in the woods. But what if the woods aren't accessible every single day? What's a way that we could connect with nature if we live a suburban life?
Yeah, and I address that in the book about getting in touch with nature and how we can optimize our meditation and life through the science of that. And what they found is that, green spaces and blue spaces are really beneficial for our health. So a green space would be like any park nearby. There's some trees, you hear the birds landing in the trees, you get that full immersion with what you hear, what you see, what you feel. Even better if you take your shoes off in the grass for a moment and feel, and then blue spaces is as simple as a fountain. Listening to the sound of running water, sit next to a fountain, listen and be present with that. There's a reason humans gather around fountains and water. It's good for our health. And if you can't do that, guess what also is good for you? Looking at images and videos of nature, as well as listening to sounds of nature, like, bird song, or we know it as in the research as like pink noise, which is the sound of rainfall, or brown noise. It's the sound of like a waterfall. Your brain doesn't necessarily differentiate between, actually being there and just hearing a recording of it or watching a video of it. We've all heard of white noise, which is like the sound of a whirling fan or cicadas, but there's other types of sounds that have been shown to help us with focus, mood, anxiety, depression, memory. And so we can optimize our meditation as well as just listening to them in the background while we're doing everyday activities that can be really helpful for your health.
So I want to offer a couple practical tips because I've made a real emphasis on getting outside. I noticed myself going from my house in artificial light into my car, into my office in artificial light, into the car and back to the house in artificial light, and not going outside. So I've put a real emphasis because I've heard from so many people on these interviews with the Good Mood Revolution that being outside is one of the keys to happiness. So this morning, I went on a bike ride with my kids to school. I mean, it's not that hard. Does it take a little bit extra time? Sure. It took a little bit extra time. I needed to allot half an hour of my day to ride my kids to school on their bikes. But the birds were chirping, the sun was out, I could smell everything that was in bloom, and I felt amazing. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go to the gym. Well, the gym is about a third of a mile from my house. And so I just jog to the gym. It's not, it's easy to get in the car to go someplace that I was already going to go to move my body anyway. But this is now, of course, I'm done with the gym and now I have to jog home. Well, it's great. I'm outside 2 times with that. And then on days that I'm not taking my kids to school outside or jogging to the gym, when I get home, my goal is to take my dog for a walk. And we go to the dog park, and it's a big green space. And there is the water a couple blocks away from my house. And so I can walk my dog to the water and just smell that sea air. And, I've just heard too many people say that being outside is one of the, I just had a scientist talk to me recently, and he said, the number one thing you could do for your health is to get outside every day.
Yeah. And I have a section in the book, Meditation for the Real World, about setting your circadian rhythm, right? And what you're describing is really important, getting that sunshine to set your circadian rhythm. So you're actually tired at night too. So it has further benefits. So you're really awake during the day because those artificial lights are like not the best for that. And then you're going to be sleepy at night. And when you have that rhythm set, it's really, really beneficial for your health. So what I recommend based off of the research, and this is what we were supposed to do, thousands of years ago, we just naturally did, is to get the morning light. So we want to get the sunrise if possible, or as close to as possible. You can do it through the window, but it's better to go outside, right? Because the UV is partially filtered through the glass. So as long as you can get outside, get that into your retina, get that into your skin in the morning. And then you want to get midday light. That's that sun, probably when you're going out maybe to the gym or something, like you're getting outside walking the dog in the middle of the day, that bright light to let your body know this is the peak of the day. And then last, you want to get the evening light. So if you get it around sunset, that's great, because the colors change in the sky to be more of these reds and warm colors in the evening. And your retina picks that up and determines, oh, guess what? It's time to reduce cortisol levels, that stress hormone that like keeps us alert, and raise melatonin levels, which helps us sleep better. So getting exposed to the sunset, even if you're not looking directly at the sunset, just the sky and the light in the air at that moment is really beneficial. So even if it's just 5-10 minutes around sunset time to take a break. So that's one way you can optimize, where you really could just go out there for 5 minutes each time, beginning of the day, midday, and evening. And it's a great time to meditate, whether it's a walking meditation or you let your dog free in the park and then you stand there and take in your 5 senses. Or maybe you sit down for a moment with your coffee or tea and you can take that little pause, that powerful pause. So then you're getting multiple benefits. You're getting nature, you're getting outside at the right timing for your hormone levels, and you're getting the benefits of meditation.
So let's unpack this fuzzy, big, esoteric idea of meditation. Because as I said in the intro, it was so big, I didn't understand it. So you're saying, okay, we can do a walking meditation. What is a walking meditation? And just if in ABC terms, how could we start one?
Yes. So I speak of many different ways to meditate in Meditation for the Real World. There's actually 83 different techniques. If you've tried a technique before and it didn't work for you, try another. It doesn't mean you're bad at meditating. It just means you're probably doing the wrong technique for you or the wrong technique for whatever situation you were in. So walking meditation is a great one for people that feel like I can't sit still, So you're going to walk, and it could be in that green
space.
This is me.
This is me, by the way. I'm the person that I can sit still. I did I went and saw Sadhguru last summer, and he has a Kriya meditation that takes like 25 minutes. And he said, just do this 25 minutes every single day and your life will change.
So practical.
And I was like, I'm in. All right. So I did 25 minutes a day for 6 months.
Wow.
And you know what I missed? My other routines that 25 minutes took from me. And so one of those routines was to sit with a cup of coffee and a journal that had a blank page and just think and write, which to me is a form of meditation in the morning that didn't involve doing certain breathing exercises and, alternate nostril breathing and all the different crazy stretches that we were doing. And I just missed my quiet time with a pen and paper and my journal. And so, I agree with you. There's a million different ways to meditate, but for me, I'm an action type person.
Yes. Yeah. And I'd say cross meditation off your list of things to do. It doesn't have to be an added thing to your morning routine. None of us have 25 extra minutes in our morning routine to fit in there. We're going to have to, cut out important things. So I think that instead, think about it as integrating it into your life. At that time that you're scrolling in the afternoon, you're starting to feel a little tired. That's a great time to get outside and get that midday light, wake up. Rather than having a cup of coffee, you actually might feel more awake from the sun. It's very powerful. So going for a walking meditation, I do in my backyard, actually barefoot in the grass. You can do, anywhere. You could even do it on a porch. You could do it inside down a hallway. When I didn't have access to going outside, I would do down a hallway or on my balcony outside. So it can be pacing in a small space too. It doesn't have to be a huge space. So what you do is you walk. And with each step, you have a specific intention. So I have a list of different intentions in the book that you can try out. My favorite one, and I think you'll really like this one, Matt. My favorite one is from the meditation teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. He
One
says,
of my favorites.
he says, as you're walking.
I of all Buddha translations, and really, I mean, he's one of my favorite authors of all time. Just his words are so prolific, and he's so clear. Like I feel like I know him because he doesn't seem to hide anything. He just speaks exactly the way that he thinks. At least that's my interpretation as I read his words.
Yeah, listen to this cue he gives while teaching walking meditation. Walk as if you were the happiest person on earth. No matter what you're feeling, just imagine as a thought experiment, how would the happiest person on earth walk? You'd probably stand a little taller. You'd probably relax your shoulders. You'd probably smile. You'd probably hear the sound of the bird song. You would view things differently. And as I'm doing this, at first it can be a little hard because, it's a thought experiment. Maybe I'm dealing with a stressful email or something. And then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am the happiest person on earth right now. I can feel it. And so it doesn't take long. It could just be a couple minutes of walking, pacing, and you start to change your mood. And there's so many benefits to walking, especially if you fit it right after a meal. We know that that's going to help reduce your blood sugar spike. They usually recommend 10 to 15-minute walk after each meal. But they've even found that 2-minute walks make a significant difference in your blood sugar spike because after you've eaten, your muscles, the large muscles of your legs, are going to grab onto that sugar that's in your bloodstream and use it immediately. They'd rather have the immediate energy. So instead of it just being free floating in your blood, which we know can lead to that later kind of like drop and sad or down feeling and energy lag, it's being used up. So you're not going to have that spike of your blood glucose. So there's many benefits to doing it right after a meal or in the morning, midday, and evening, just getting outside.
I love walk like you're the happiest person on earth. I am going to start to incorporate this into my life. And as you were giving your scenario that maybe you've gotten upsetting email and you're going for a walk, setting the intention, I'm going to walk like the happiest person on earth, all of a sudden you'd be like, would the happiest person on earth be bothered by this email right now?
Yeah.
They wouldn't be. They'd be too happy to be bothered by this email right now, and they just let it go. Yeah, that is so cool. Yeah, his meditations are simple too. He talks about breathing meditations, and I just remember him saying, breathing in, I smile, and breathing out, I smile. And I'm like, oh man, this is so simple. Like he just seems so simple. Okay, let's talk about some, because you say, hey, meditation doesn't need to be 20 minutes. What are some other ways we can have some happiness boosts with meditation throughout our day when we have a busy life?
Listen, it only takes 1 minute. That's why I integrated 1-minute meditations throughout the book, is because it gives you immediate effects. We can do a 1-minute meditation right now and you'll feel the immediate effects, and it's a great thing to fit in through your day when you feel distracted, mindless, when you feel like you're not in touch, you feel like, you need to get back in touch. So perhaps you get that stressful email, you're in a work project or something. We're so consumed in this screen, you turn your chair, roll it so you're turning away from the screen is the first step if you were in that scenario. Ideally, look out a window. Your eyes like to have this expansive vision. We're not meant to be so narrowly focused on these small screens all day. So ideally, as you're listening to this, look out a window. If you're driving right now, you can totally still do this meditation. You don't have to close your eyes and have perfect silence.
I meditate when I drive. That is actually my go-to, is my drive to work or my drive home from work is my meditation time. And people are like, well, aren't you going to get into a crash? And I'm like, well,
I don't close my eyes.
I'm not closing my eyes. I'm not closing my eyes. Right. And, but it's a nice way, especially on the way home from work, for me to unwind and set work down and then get ready to come be the husband and the father that I want to be as I walk in. Otherwise, I'll call somebody, get into a long conversation. I'll make a work call, and I'm walking in frazzled and too busy to talk to my kids, which is not the person I want to be.
Yeah, we call that mindfulness, when you're being really present while you're doing an activity like that, when you're driving or, when you're doing some sort of activity and you're like very present with what you see, hear, feel, taste, smell. And that's the meditation I want to guide you through in a minute when you're ready.
Well, let's do it. So we got,
okay.
Hey, and if the person listening, you're listening right now to have a 1-minute meditation with the expert, Ann Swanson.
Yeah. So we'll start with the eyes open and expand your vision. If you're able to look away, look at a window, or even just look at something broader in your room, not a screen, not up close, and take it all in. Notice what you see. Maybe you see things differently with this awareness, the light, the colors, the shapes. And then optionally, if appropriate, safe, and comfortable, you can close your eyes and you'll still see lights, colors, shapes. Notice what you see. As we tune in to sounds, hearing my voice, hearing the sounds from far away, in the distance, to up close in your space. Maybe even hearing the sound of your own breath. Deep inhale through the nose, smell any smells. And then bring the awareness to the mouth, taste any tastes. And feel all the sensations inside of your mouth, the tongue resting. The jaw drops, and feel all the sensations in your physical body. Maybe you feel compelled to move a little, readjust your posture. As you listen to your body might be asking you to do a little stretch or movement. Go ahead, listen. Deliver what it needs. Listen deeply to whatever your body has to say to you. It's always speaking to you. We just don't always listen to that inner wisdom. And then flutter your eyelashes to open your eyes if they're closed and take in what you see, hear, smell, taste, and feel all simultaneously. Hold them in, all in your awareness. And continue this new sense of presence as you listen in to the rest of Matt and I talking.
I feel wonderful. Oh, it's so nice. So I love to be guided through meditation. And my favorite app is Calm. And what are your thoughts about people having a guided meditation routine? Is it something that you help people with?
Yeah, I think that guided meditations are really great for beginners. And actually, as a gift to your listeners, if they go to meditationfortherealworld.com, not only can they see about the book, but also they get a 5-day meditation challenge that's less than 10 minutes a day, science-backed, incorporates nature sounds and music engineered to optimize your brain waves to help you like really get into that place. So that's at meditationfortherealworld.com. And the reason I created that, as well as a physical book, like where we can get away from technology, have it by our nightstand, have it on our tabletop, is because I actually kind of get stressed out by the apps sometimes. I think they can be really helpful, and I have used them for years on and off. But sometimes I'll spend like 20 minutes searching for a meditation for anxiety, and then I find it. I feel a little extra anxious. I click on it, and then all of a sudden, I'm relaxed, and then I have a green sword, and I'm fighting the Archangel Michael, and I'm like, how did I get here? This is not what I meant to sign up for. So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because there's so many options, and they're gamified like an app, and now you're on your phone, you see your text. So just to be able to kind of get away from that with a like beautiful physical book for the book lovers with colors and pictures, I think that that's something that it really has been missing that I wanted myself personally. So I created with Meditation for the Real World.
I'm holding your book right here. And it is one of the most beautiful books. I was telling Ann before we got on, it's my favorite book I've held in my hands this year. And it's got incredible illustrations throughout. And it's like when my kid, I've got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And when I was at that age and I was reading, books that had no pictures did not interest me. Because I needed some pictures. And then, and now that I'm older, of course, I've read so many books, hundreds of books at this point, and most of them don't have pictures. But when I get to a book that has really great illustrations, I just really appreciate it. And I felt like your book did such a good job with that.
Yeah, I worked with a New York Times illustrator, Michelle Mildenberg-Lara, and a brilliant team at DK. If you know their books, they're part of Penguin Random House, but they also do these like books that are like coffee table books and lots of children's books. If you know, like the I Spy series and the Lego books that are very illustrative. And so it's really the perfect gift book, or for book lovers like us that, adults love picture books too. It's very relaxing to go through and see it and visualize it and feel it. And weirdly, you can actually meditate while you read. As you're reading, it becomes a meditative experience. And then many times in the step-by-step instructions, prompt you to, close your eyes and try it just like that. Once okay, I'm going to go through my 5 senses. Now you can guide yourself through it. And that's a powerful thing. I don't think necessarily you're going to guide yourself through a 10, 15 minute meditation, especially as a beginner, but you can guide yourself through a 1-minute meditation when you're in the car waiting for your kids to arrive as you pick them up from school. That's a great place to put it in. The cover of the book has a woman sitting on a subway. She's the only one that looks chill and relaxed. She's got headphones on. Maybe she's listening to a guided meditation. Maybe she's listening to a song that keeps her present. Everybody around her is hunched over their cell phones and computers, just scrolling and distracted. And she's the only one that's present. You can have your eyes open. It could be a crazy environment. Rather than scrolling while you wait, meditate while you wait. Even 1 minute, as you felt, makes a profound difference.
Yeah, I got a good tip on this, and it was from you, to meditate in the grocery line.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. We're waiting for the grocery line to open up, and there's tabloids, and there's all these different colors and sights and things to grab our attention, and yet we could take that moment to just take some breaths and check in with ourselves.
And our posture. Find a even standing position whether in yoga we have like mountain pose, but I really like the Tai Chi standing position, Wu Chi, which I show in the book. It is said that the Tai Chi masters spent thousands of years passing on the knowledge and experimenting to find the perfect posture to be able to allow the flow of chi or vital energy through your body. And it's really standing there, but your knees are slightly bent, your shoulders are dropped. And you can do this in the line of the grocery store rather than kind of like leaning over and slouching and having your phone out, to really just get in touch and be grounded for that few moments. Before we had cell phones, what were people doing in line? They were standing there. They were chit-chatting with each other. They were looking around and taking in the environment. It was like this little built-in powerful pause. Now we don't have those built-in powerful pauses because we're pulling out our cell phones in those moments. So we got to reintegrate them.
Okay, let's get what are some more of your favorite practical tips for everyday meditation?
Yeah, so I think the biggest tip to develop a habit, whether you want to do a 10 or 5-minute meditation, like a longer one, and which is really great. I do recommend starting that. And that's why I made the meditation challenge. Or you just want to do these like 1-minute powerful pauses throughout the day to reset. Either way, what you want to do is to find a time before, during, or after something you already have a strong habit of. So we learned this from James Clear of Atomic Habits. It works. This is how you build a habit. So whether it's, having your coffee or tea, you already had that strong habit of journaling. Right after you journal in the morning and you have your coffee time, set it down. You've already gotten that out. I really like doing that, or my list of things to do for the day. Get it out there, put it down, turn it upside down, and then do your 1-minute meditation or 3 minutes or whatever you want that day to tune in. So that's a really great one for you. I'd recommend is to integrate it into that strong habit you already have. Maybe somebody else has a strong habit. For me, I have chronic joint pain that meditation has really helped, but also I do red light therapy for it. So you have to like sit in front of this like red light machine for 10 minutes a day. That's something I'm already doing. So during that time, I'm going to do my meditation. I'm already like a captive audience. So maybe you have something like that you have to do. Or, after something that you are integrating into your life, after you run a big meeting and then you're like, whoa, I'm always like really frazzled before I go into the other room and transition, from work to my kids. I'm going to do a 1-minute meditation, look out the window to help me with that transition. So find something before, during, or after that you can integrate meditation, whether it's a minute or 5 minutes, into your day.
Yeah, I had a buddy that said when he pushes start on his coffee pot, because he drinks coffee every day. I also hit start on my coffee pot every day. It's a wonderful time to have 4 to 5 minutes to meditate, and that's his cue, as James Clear would say. That's his cue.
It. You get that the senses. You're smelling it. You're anticipating it, and when you have that sip of coffee, it's just this feeling of gratification of having that behind you. I know I did my mind cleansing, as you said in the beginning today. I did something really good for my health. It's this feeling of accomplishment early on the day. And that's why traditionally it is done in the morning. I do it in the morning just so I know that I've done it, but there may be that time, in the afternoon where you feel that lag and you want to have coffee, but it makes you not sleep as well. Even if you do fall asleep quickly, you're not sleeping as deeply. That's what the research shows. So, instead of having that coffee, you have 2 options. You can either get up and move, go outside, do the walking meditation, get the sunlight, or you could actually rest and recuperate, lie down and do a 15-minute meditation lying down. So there's ways that you can integrate it. So it's almost like a little nap. So everybody's going to be a little different of what they find works in their schedule and what works for them. And so experiment and find what works for you and iterate it. If this habit didn't work for you, change it up after trying it out for a few weeks, because that's really how we build a habit. We never fully, it's done. It's got to be iterated with the changes we have in our lifestyle.
All right. So you are a yoga therapist, and I love this name. Can you describe how we can incorporate yoga into our happiness routines?
So I am a yoga therapist, which means I have extra education on top of being a yoga teacher. Actually, I have a master's of science in yoga therapy, which this graduate degree broken down the science to support it, as well as, how to therapeutically adapt for different people and situations. The same thing is true of meditation, which is a critical part of yoga, is that it's not one size fits all. It's not one meditation for all people, all circumstances. So we want to adapt. I think, people have this misconception about yoga. They think yoga is just the physical poses. But when we break down the 8 limbs of yoga, there's like 8 parts to yoga. Depending on how you interpret it, 4 to 7 of them are meditation. Or meditation related. And only one of the 8 is the physical poses. And you know what the physical poses are meant to do? Prepare your body for meditation. So whether or not you love yoga poses, or maybe you love, going for a run or exercising in the gym or going for a swim, whatever your physical practice is, that is preparing your body and mind for like a seated, more formal meditation or a practice where we're sitting with ourselves in quiet. And so, I think for many of us, if you do like yoga, doing it right before your meditation, even just a couple minutes I do in the morning, of just like a sun salutation or even holding on to the countertop and doing a downward facing dog while I'm waiting for that coffee to brew, or perhaps holding onto the countertop and doing a tree pose in the kitchen. So integrating these little moments of movement, they're preparing your body. Now you have the coffee brewing. Now go do your meditation. You just did that little bit of movement, which is preparing your body and mind for meditation practice. Now, if yoga poses aren't for you, it can be any movement. Do a bunch of squats, do whatever physical movement you enjoy.
Yeah, I started a habit of doing sun salutations to start my morning every day. And that's a habit I haven't wanted to break. It doesn't take much time, but man, I feel like that particular movement just readies my body to start the day.
Yeah, I actually do the same as the sun is rising. So just getting that morning light, and I do some sun salutations, and I kind of mix it up with some Tai Chi also.
Which I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, so
Tai Chi sounds cool.
It is super cool. I have a section in the book. You can get a little familiar with it on Tai Chi and Qigong. So top secret, I may be writing another book with a Tai Chi master coming up.
All
so
right.
You may be more familiar with that in the future.
Congratulations. Well, I thoroughly feel more chill and definitely super happy just being in your presence today. Thank you for being here. And there's going to be people listening that are going to want to know more and get to know more about you. How would they get in touch?
So definitely go to meditationfortherealworld.com. You can get into that challenge, find out where to get the book, which really is wherever books are sold, but you'll get that challenge as well, which has the science to support it. So head to meditationfortherealworld.com. And if you get the book, tag me on Instagram. I love to connect with you in that way. So my Instagram is @scienceof.yoga. And so we can connect over a DM or in a post that way too.
And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And y'all, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode with Matt O'Neill.